and other Canadians, when we have a civil war in Libya, why are Canadians CF-18s bombing one side, not the other? What on earth are we doing there? And how long will we be there?
Okay.
What is the end product?
Okay, thank you. Excellent question. We are there, sir, because a dictator was about to massacre civilians in a place called Benghazi. If he'd got away with it, we would have sat here and been asking a different question. Why are we sitting here watching innocent civilians being massacred? And so we made a tough decision, which I supported, to send CF-18s in there to prevent Muammar Gaddafi massacring innocent civilians in a place called Benghazi and also Tobruk and other cities. We have done this before to prevent people from massacring other innocent civilians. Remember, we went to Kosovo in southeastern Europe. A dictator was about to ethnically cleanse a whole bunch of people, drive them out, and we stopped that. But remember when we didn't do that. Remember Rwanda. Remember in Rwanda, we sent a brave Canadian who was a friend and colleague of all of ours, Romeo Dallaire, there, and we didn't send him with any equipment. And 800,000 people got chopped into pieces in the space of about 60 days. I will never send Canadian forces to occupy or conquer or invade another person's country. I will never send them unless it has the approval of the Security Council of the United Nations. A bit of a pity we lost our seat on the Security Council of the United Nations. But I want to make it clear that we can only use Canadian forces to protect civilians from harm. That's what we're there to do. That's, I think, our mission of peace. We will not send ground troops into Libya. That would not be appropriate. Libya is for the Libyans, and they're going to have to sort it out. All we can do is make sure innocent civilians are not being massacred. Thank you for the question. Next question.
Hi, Mr. Ignatieff. Over here.
Where are you?
Over here.
Oh, there. Sorry, fine.
I'd first like to start off by, I think I speak for everybody in the room when I say thank you for being here. I think the campaign is moving forward. My question is, I'm trying to sponsor my parents. I filed my papers last week. I'm looking at almost 7.5 years until they get a visa and are able to enter this country. What are you going to do about that?
Boy, this has been one of the Conservative government's disasters, in my view. This is a government that talks about family values, but when it comes to actually doing something to reunite families, you can wait 13 years now. And that's because they made a deliberate choice to favor temporary foreign workers as opposed to family class reunification. I mean, I don't want to get all personal about this, but my family came as family class immigrants. And the reason I like family class is families look after each other. Let's not be sentimental about immigration. It can be tough to come here. You feel friendless, you feel alone, and it's the family that carries you through. Family looks after each other. And then when you get here, this is the other deal, you want to bring your family members with you. And if you're a citizen, it's particularly grating. You think I'm a kind of second-class citizen because I can't reunite my family. So we have to get the balance back. We have to say temporary foreign workers have their place in an immigration system, but we got it completely out of whack here. The Conservatives and Jason Kenney and Stephen Harper got it completely out of whack. We got to get family reunification back at the center of the Canadian immigration system. And if we do that, then we increase the number of visas we issue to all countries, and then that begins to reduce the delay times. But if we don't increase the number of visas, the queues are going to get longer and longer and longer. You're going to get more and more frustrated, and a lot of Canadians are going to feel, hey, this country isn't fair. Because it's about fairness here. And it's about equality. Fairness and equality. And this system, immigration system we've got now, with its emphasis on temporary foreign workers, strikes thousands of Canadians as being unfair. We'll get the balance back. Thank you for the question.
Good evening, Mr. Ignatieff. First of all, let me welcome you to Brampton. My name is Patty Ryan Chmelik, And I live, obviously, in one of the most hotly contested ridings in the country. I'd like to graciously thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak to you. For the first time in my life, I do not want to vote. Or at best, I want to spoil my ballot. This is not something I'm recommending to Canadians, but here in Brampton West, I am seriously underwhelmed by the supposed choices offered to me.
I wanted to ask a question.
So, last night I was here for an all candidates debate. My Tory candidate and my Green candidate did not bother to show up. They did not have enough respect for me and the issues that I care about to even show up. That leaves me two choices. So, please, in light of the following questions and concerns that I have, please convince me why, number one, I should bother to show up on May 2nd, and two, why I should not spoil my ballot should I decide to show up.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the question.
It's a good question.
Just two things briefly to say. Remember what I said at the beginning about I have to answer the question, I have to show up? I can't emphasize that too strongly. If you're a candidate for public office in this country, you show up to debates. Period. Andrew Canyon did. There are conservative candidates across the country who are not bothering to show up, and it's a sign of disrespect for you. That's number one. Secondly, why shouldn't you spoil your ballot? One of the great things about a ballot is that it's yours. You got the right to do with it as you please. But I would just plead with you as a fellow citizen, this is your country. This is your country. Your vote matters. Your vote matters. People start spoiling ballots. They're spoiling something that people have fought and died for in Egypt just this winter. Next question. Where's it coming from?
Hi. Just going back to what you said about why we're in Libya. 3 years ago, Omar al-Bashir in Sudan was indicted by the ICC on genocide, crimes against humanity, and Canada is a member of the ICC, and nothing has been done about it. How do you expect dictators such as Libya and Egypt to take us seriously if we're not going to do anything about it?
Very good question about a dictator responsible for the crimes against humanity in a region of Sudan called Darfur. I think one of the things about the Bashir indictment by the International Criminal Court is that it's part of doing something simple but basic, which is ending impunity for dictators. The fact that Mr. Bashir has been indicted by the criminal court sends a warning signal to all other dictators. One of the reasons that I'm optimistic that we will have a Libya without Gaddafi is that the international community has said very clearly by sending those planes up there, you can't massacre civilians and get away with it. And with Bashir, we've said, you can't do what you did in Darfur and get away with it. Canada has to be part of a vision in which we think a citizen of Canada is a citizen of the world. We have international responsibilities, and we want to support anything we can do to isolate the Sudan regime, right? Isolate Bashir, but also not, let's think this through, folks. This is what grown-up foreign policy has to look like. We've got part of southern Sudan which is trying to declare its independence, right? We got to manage Bashir, we got to keep him in a box and isolate him, and we've got to let part of southern Sudan go free. Being an adult, grown-up foreign policy, you got to manage all that. But here's the thing. We've got to stand up for democracy in the world. We've got to promote human rights in the world. We've got to have consistent standards. And by the way, we ought to practice some democracy at home. Don't you think that's a good thing? If you're going to have a foreign policy that goes after the dictators, promotes human rights, you better respect your democracy at home. Thank you for the question.